You don't live here anymore, sweetie, Mom smirked, dangling the new house keys on a floral lanyard like a prize ribbon. Why would we tell you? Dad chuckled from the sofa. It's not like you paid for any of it. I stood in the middle of the living room, the one where I'd had birthday parties, sleepovers, scraped knees, and heartbreaks, now boxed up like a stranger's storage unit.
Hi.
My name is Evelyn Grant, and until that moment, I thought my parents still saw me as family. Turns out, I was just another thing they'd outgrown. They had sold the house last month. Quietly. No mention. No heads up. No consideration. I found out from a realtor's flyer. Don't be dramatic, Mom said. It's not your house.
No.
But what was inside it? The journals in the attic, the handmade ornaments, the dog's ashes. That was mine. And they threw it all away. I didn't cry. I didn't argue.
I didn't even ask why.
Instead, I opened my purse, pulled out one manila envelope, and slid it across their precious marble kitchen island. Just sign this, I said softly. It's from the title office. They didn't read it. They didn't ask. They just signed. And 2 weeks later, when escrow closed and they got their check, they didn't realize who really owned the land beneath their feet. Not yet. They called me in a panic at 8:43 a.m. Evie, Mom snapped. Why is there a lien notice on our new house? I stirred my coffee. You mean my house? Dad grabbed the phone. What the hell did you do? What I did was simple. Legal.
Precise.
See, when they sold our childhood home, they thought I had no claim. What they forgot was the trust fund Grandma had set up, the one tied directly to the property deed. I'd become the successor trustee the moment she passed. But they were so focused on the check that they never asked what I'd slipped into that stack of closing documents. Just one little form. Title transfer authorization. Not for the old house, but for the new one. The one they bought with the proceeds. In their rush to cash out, they signed everything. So legally, the deed landed in my name. Don't be ridiculous, Mom barked. You wouldn't do that to your own parents. I walked to my window, sipping slowly as sunlight poured across my backyard. I didn't do anything to you, I said. You did this to me. I just made it official. Dad started shouting, threatening. I ended the call, because now I had the one thing they never thought I'd claim. Power. That afternoon, Mom tried a softer tone. We didn't mean to hurt you. It was just a house. You're too emotional. I didn't answer. She'd always used that line, too emotional, to dismiss me, gaslight me, erase me. But this time, I wasn't reacting. I was moving. Quietly. Deliberately. My lawyer filed the ownership confirmation that week. Their names were never on the new deed. It was mine, clean and legal. All because they signed without looking. No notary needed. We'd used a remote closing service. 2 days later, I showed up on their porch. They opened the door like I was a guest. Evie, if this is about that document. I held up a copy of the deed, embossed and sealed. This house, I said, stepping inside. It's mine now. They stared. You tricked us, Dad muttered.
No.
You underestimated me. I walked past them into my kitchen, the same one they'd once told me to stay out of when the realtor came by. Mom clutched her phone. We'll fight this. I nodded. You're welcome to, but I wouldn't advise it. I kept all the emails, the trust, the contracts. The paper trail is flawless. Dad's face flushed red. They hadn't lost a house. They'd lost control. And they knew it. By morning, they'd lawyered up. Or tried to. Turns out, it's hard to find legal sympathy when your signatures are on every dotted line, and your daughter owns the trust that funded the entire purchase. The attorney they contacted politely declined after reviewing the documents. Mom's next tactic was emotional. You really want to see us homeless? Homeless? Hardly. They still had their retirement accounts, 2 leased cars, a lake cabin, and plenty of friends willing to host. But losing the main house, the one in the fancy neighborhood, the one they bragged about, that stung. What stung more? I wasn't bending. They showed up unannounced the next weekend. I watched them through the window, Standing in the driveway, Dad pacing, Mom crying with dramatic flair. I didn't open the door. Instead, I texted them a simple message. You sold my history. I kept the receipt. That night, I moved into the house.
Mine now.
I unpacked my books, lit candles, repainted the old guest room into my home office. It was surreal. The same walls that had once silenced me now echoed with my music, my voice, my rules. And the first night I slept there, in the master bedroom they once called off-limits, I dreamed for the first time in years.
Of peace.
And permanence. On Monday, the HOA president dropped by with a welcome basket and a nosy smile. Is this your parents' place? She asked, eyes scanning the living room. I smiled back.
No.
It's mine. She blinked.
Oh.
Well, they always said it'd stay in the family. It did, I said. Just not the way they expected. Word spread fast after that. At first, I didn't care. But then came the messages. Neighbors texting me screenshots from my mom's Facebook posts. Our daughter stole our home using fine print and manipulation. We're devastated. She's not who we raised. The comments were predictable. People who didn't know the truth rushing to defend two aging parents betrayed by their own child. But I'd learned something in therapy. You don't owe everyone your story. Just yourself, your peace, and the truth. Still, I posted one thing. A photo of the deed, with Grandma's name highlighted in the trust language. Captioned, she gave me the keys long before they ever noticed. No drama. No details. Let people wonder. Mom called later, sobbing. We didn't think you'd go this far. I closed my eyes. You went farther the day you sold my memories behind my back. Then I hung up. Because forgiveness isn't weakness. But forgetting? That's a luxury they no longer had. 3 weeks in, I found a letter in the mailbox. No stamp, no return address. Just my name in my mother's handwriting. Inside, a printed invoice. Itemized. Christmas gifts, 1998 to 2017, $4,200. A private school fees, $31,000. Family vacations you enjoyed, $8,600. Groceries we covered, $9,400. Total, $53,200. Balance due, your soul. I laughed out loud. It wasn't the pettiness. It was the math, the sheer transactional nerve to reduce parenting to a bill. Like love had interest rates, like childhood was a loan. I folded the invoice, placed it in a fresh envelope, and added one note. Subtracted from the $240,000 in unpaid trust proceeds you stole when you sold my childhood home. Balance remaining, $186,800. No worries. I forgive the difference. Then I mailed it to their lake cabin. 2 days later, silence. No calls. No texts. Not even Facebook posts. Just nothing. And for once, it wasn't heavy. It was calm. Because when someone finally stops pretending they didn't hurt you, when the performance ends, you can begin to heal. I lit a candle that night for Grandma. She never raised her voice. Never yelled. But she knew exactly who they were. That's why she left the trust to me, and not them. She saw what I refused to. Until now. Narrator, Evelyn Grant. Title, My parents sold my childhood home without telling me. I signed one paper, and walked out owning everything. 2 months after the silence, I got an invitation. No apology. No accountability. Just a gold-trimmed card that read, You are invited to celebrate your father's 65th birthday, hosted at our family home. The audacity. They were throwing a party in my house. I didn't respond, but I didn't ignore it either. That night, I called the security company, updated the access codes, changed the locks, added a digital doorbell with live footage. No more garage code. No more backdoor spare key. Then I waited. On the day of the party, cars began pulling up around noon. People dressed in cocktail clothes, carrying gifts, milling around the porch. Dad arrived last, looking proud, like a king returning to his castle, until he tried the front door. and it didn't open. He knocked, rang the bell. I watched from upstairs as the camera blinked red. After 10 minutes, I clicked the speaker and said, calm as ever, "This is no longer your venue. Please vacate the property."
Gasps.
Confusion. Someone asked, "Is this a joke?"
No, I said.
"This is a boundary." Then I ended the feed. And the look on my father's face in that final frozen frame was everything I never got growing up. Recognition. 3 weeks later, they sent one final message. No insults. No sarcasm. Just a sentence. "We didn't think you'd ever stand up to us." I didn't reply, because they weren't wrong. For years, I kept the peace, swallowed my pain, laughed off the disrespect, all to stay good. But being good had cost me too much. My voice, my worth, my home. Not anymore. That spring, I turned the old guest bedroom into a reading nook, kept the creaky floorboard where I used to hide letters under the rug, planted lavender by the porch, restored Grandma's rocking chair. People say revenge is loud. Mine wasn't. It was quiet, patient, legal, poetic. It was reclaiming what was mine without shouting, without begging. And when I hosted my first dinner in the house, surrounded by friends who saw me, who chose me, I looked around the table and felt something I never had in this space before. Home. Not a museum of old pain. Not a shrine to guilt. Just warmth, laughter, belonging. When people asked if I'd ever invite my parents over, I said the only thing that felt true. They're not banned. They're just not expected. Because some stories don't end in reconciliation. Some end in liberation.